Today we're going to compare the application technique and the post-op instructions for a traditional colophony varnish versus non-colophony FluoriMax sodium fluoride varnish. So first of all, with the application, you want to make sure that you mix the colophony varnish. It wants to be a uniform solution there. It's going to have a very thick and gooey consistency, and it'll either be a white color or a yellow color. The FluoriMax Fluoride Varnish comes in a bottle. You give it a very good strong shake for 15 seconds, then you dispense it into the well. It's a yellow color in the well, but it actually goes on invisible on the teeth, whereas most colophony varnishes will just have a little bit of a layer of white or yellow on the teeth. Now, tooth preparation. For a colophony varnish, you have to make sure the tooth structure is dry. So you're going to use your 2x2 or triplex syringe to completely dry the teeth. On the FluoriMax side, you do not dry the teeth. You actually need to keep them moist. All you're going to do is either ask the patient to swallow or use a saliva ejector to remove any pooled saliva. So a heck of a lot easier than drying all the teeth. Now for the application. For your colophony varnish, you're going to dip your applicator brush inside the varnish. You're going to get some on there, and you're going to apply a really thin coat of the varnish. And you have to apply it to all the tooth structure. So you could see I basically did 3 swipes to get a complete coating on the molars. Then I did 2 swipes on premolars, 1 swipe on the incisors. Now I'm moving on to the lingual surface. So that again, we're getting that nice thick, well, try not to get a thick coating, nice thin coating as much as we can, but it really has to be quite comprehensive, covers over everything. And now onto the occlusals, getting that occlusal surface coated with the fluoride varnish. Okay, now this is the application technique for the FluoriMax. I'm going to dip it in. I'm going to make sure there's not too much product on my brush. So you can see it hasn't even saturated the whole brush. We don't need a lot. A little goes a long way with FluoriMax. We're going to start at the posterior on our moist teeth, not soaking wet though, and we just allow the bristles to splay and just follow it to the midline. That's it. Application complete. You do not have to do the linguals, you do not have to do the occlusals. In these intervening seconds, what's happened is the FluoriMax Fluoride Varnish has actually dispersed across the whole facial surface, and it forms a really tenacious bond with the tooth structure, so it's going to act as a fluoride reservoir for the next 4 to 6 hours, delivering fluoride not just to the applied surfaces, but also to the lingual and the occlusal. And because it forms this really great tenacious bond and it's super thin, it actually is much easier to apply, the patient feels it less, and the post-op is a heck of a lot easier. Your post-op instructions for FluoriMax is that they can eat and drink right away. The only thing they need to avoid is alcohol, brushing, and flossing for the next 4 hours. 6 hours is even better if they can do it, if they can hold off. Now on our colophony side, our post-op instructions are that they can eat some soft foods right away, but they have to avoid hot foods, sticky foods, and crunchy foods for the next 4 to 6 hours. And if they can refrain from brushing until tomorrow, that would be ideal. So a little bit more complex on the post-op instructions, definitely gooier feeling on this colophony side. The FluoriMax is on so fast, the patient can barely tell. Just a little bit of flavor, which is very pleasant. It's not overpowering, and they can eat and drink right away. So comments, guys, if you can put some comments down for us, which would you prefer to have in your mouth? Or if you're a hygienist or assistant, which would you rather apply? Conventional or FluoriMax?